our channel. Today I'm going to be filming my birth story along with showing you guys my 4-month postpartum belly. So to start off, I was 41 weeks when I got induced. I had to get induced because I did not dilate any. I only dilated, the doctor said, like half a centimeter, and she was almost pretty positive I was going to have a C-section, which I really was scared of and did not want. I just wanted a healthy baby though, so I was like, okay, you know, whatever, as long as the baby's healthy. But I was determined I was going to have her vaginal because once I get something in my head, I have to do it. So I went in on a Thursday night, September 27th, and she said that she was going to insert Cervidil inside of me, which is like a medicine that is supposed to put off like a natural hormone or something to help induce you naturally without having to, you know, give you Pitocin yet. So I read up on it the night before I went in to get induced, and I was told that it would probably not work, and it was just pretty much nothing. So I was like, great, you know, this is not going to help at all. Now I'm really going to have a C-section. But I went in Thursday night and they inserted it inside of me, and I, like 15 minutes later, after the nurse walked out, they had trouble because my uterus was so high up, but they had trouble and they finally inserted it, and literally like 15 minutes later, I was having like contractions off the chart like this. And at first I couldn't feel them that bad. I thought it was just like crampiness kind of from them putting it in me. But then they started to get a little bit intense. So I sent a picture to my aunt who is a nurse, and she did not reply back for 2 hours. And by those 2 hours I was already like bent over double in pain. But she replied back finally, and she said, oh my gosh, those are real contractions. Didn't you just go in? And I told her yes. And you know, the nurse finally came back in and seen them and was like, you're already contracting. That's really good. Maybe you'll be dilated enough to where you can try having her vaginal. So I was having those type of contractions off the chart all night long. And it was just ridiculous. I didn't really have any pressure like from her head yet, but I was having horrible contractions. And I could not fall asleep. But finally, you know, I fell asleep, and I finally dozed off at about 12 o'clock after getting up and going from and to the bathroom about 3 or 4 times. And the third time I went to the bathroom, I wiped and there was blood. So I was like, okay, maybe this means I dilated. So I asked her, and she said it's probably just from where she inserted the Cervidil, and she told me to just hold off and just, they'll check me later when they feel like I'm more dilated. So I finally dozed off and went to sleep. I do not know how. I did not touch my phone all night, and this is coming from a girl who loves her phone. I did not touch my phone all night just because I was in so much pain, and I do not even know how I managed to fall asleep, but I did. I finally dozed off at about 12:30, and at 1 o'clock I got woke up by a nurse, and she comes in there with a shot in her hand and told me that she has to give me a shot to slow down my contractions because they were so bad. Well, she gave me the shot in the back of my arm right here, and she never told me that it was going to have any side effects or anything. So then my heart started beating out of my chest really, really fast, and it was scaring me, and I was already very, very scared because of how many contractions I was having. So once she gave me that shot, it slowed them down for like 30 minutes, and then they sped back up again. And they were speeding up like worse. They come back worse. So finally I made it through the night. I think I fell back asleep for like an hour. Then I woke back up and in the middle of the night, and I had to go back to the bathroom. I was bent over double, you know, going to the bathroom. Like, it was just awful. Well, then the next morning I had some relief. I felt a little bit better until they come in there and broke my water with a little hook And it is the most disgusting feeling ever. If you've ever had your water broken, it feels nasty. But they come in there and broke my water for me, and when they broke my water about 10 minutes later, I thought I was having bad contractions the night before, but these were horrible contractions. Like, not even sure. I'm just very proud of myself that I made it through this, because props to all mamas, because it is rough having a baby. But once they broke my water, then I really started to dilate quickly. And about 15 minutes after they broke my water, she come back in there and told me I am good to get my epidural whenever I wanted to. But I wanted to hold off as long as I could. I was only like a 3 at this point, and I just wanted to hold off as long as I could, just to say I did, I guess, and try to see if I could do it without an epidural. Well, I was crazy, because once I got to a 5 centimeters, I begged for the epidural, and I could not even sit still for it. I was hurting so bad every time he told me to lean back, and so he could, it was just awful. So then it took him like 30 minutes to give me my epidural, just because he could not find there's like 2 knots in your back, and apparently it's supposed to go in between those 2 knots in that exact spot. And he was having trouble finding it. The epidural was kind of a breeze. It really did not hurt at all. But he never ended up finding it, or he said he did. But later on, I found out that that was a lie, because I felt everything. The only thing I could not feel was from my, like, thighs down. But I felt everything from, you know, my waistband up. Luckily I was numb enough to where she could still check me and I couldn't feel it and stuff like that. But he dabbed me with some cold alcohol wipes to see if I was feeling anything, and I told him yes, I was still feeling it. And he told me he was going to numb me up with some different medicine through my IV of my back where he did my epidural. And so he put some different medicine in there. It helped. So then my nurse called my anesthesiologist back upstairs, and he brought the same medicine he gave me the first time. And it did not work this time. It was not the fentanyl. I forget what the name of it is, but it helps numb you. It didn't work this time. So my doctor just decided to come back in there and check me again. This was about at 5 o'clock, I want to say, and I was a 7. So she told me to just get some rest, and she'll be back in to check me soon. So I was only a 7, so about 5:30 she comes back in and checks me, and I am an 8, and then I gradually become a 9, and at 9 I just stopped dilating. Like, they were like, okay, she's in a lot of pain. So I was almost a 10 though. Both of the nurses checked me and the doctor. I was almost a 10. So they started setting up the little baby crib beside me, and they put oxygen on my face and got the diapers out. I was so excited, but so nervous and so out of it and so much in pain. And then I pushed, and they started seeing her head, and they were like, okay, there's no going back now. Like, she's going to come out. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Hopefully this meant I did not have to have a C-section. Obviously other things can go wrong and you will have to have an emergency C-section. But luckily, after 3 hours at 8:53 p.m. she was born. It was very, very scary because everybody started crying. They called code blue because she come out blue and was not breathing. And we did not know why. We were all very scared, and the family in the waiting room was screaming, crying, because they did not know what was going on. All they seen was crash carts and stuff running to our room and code blue symbols going off. Like, it was very, very scary. So they got her back breathing. I want to say like 30 NICU people seen me, you know, getting stitched up. It was kind of awkward, but whatever. So like, there was like a whole NICU crew in the room ready to roll. They were awesome. I'm so happy they saved my baby girl's life. But yeah, and I mean, she was born perfectly fine after that. She just was having trouble breathing. I think they said that she swallowed a little bit of her poop in the womb. But yeah, she's good now. She did have to stay in NICU for like 2 weeks just because her oxygen levels kept dropping and they were not sure why. Every test come back normal except one blood work test come back that she had an infection in her blood or something, which was serious at the time. But they said after a 24-hour culture, her blood looked fine, everything looked fine, and they just wanted to monitor her oxygen, and everything was good, and she got to come home after 2 long weeks in the NICU. We were very upset. But yeah, that is my birth story. I'm very excited to share it with y'all, and now I'm going to share y'all my 4-month postpartum belly, which is kind of embarrassing, but whatever. Mom love. This is my 4-month postpartum belly after a 8-pound, 1-ounce baby. I know some people don't even get stretch marks or anything, but this mama did. I guess because I have a short torso, I have them like all right here, if y'all can see. But yeah, that's my 4-month postpartum belly. I do plan on working on it, obviously, but what can you do? I have a beautiful baby girl from it, and that is all that matters. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can see everything we post.